I'm joining Ukrainian community in Sydney, and there will be a big event at St. Mary's Cathedral that I will be attending and speaking at. But there will be also events organized in every capital city of Australia, and I'm encouraging Australians to join those events and demonstrate solidarity with Ukraine, demonstrate solidarity with a country which is fighting for its existence, which is fighting to defend democracy, human rights, rule of law, and it's out there, making the highest sacrifice of its people, of its lives for that.
And that support has been expressed, or was expressed very strongly in this country early on in the war, wasn't it? The flying of flags, the lighting in blue and yellow of big public buildings. You don't see so much of it these days, though. What's your assessment of the level of support in Australia over the course of the 2 years? Has it waned a little?
Look, from the very beginning, this war was all about two things: about our ability to fight and the ability of our partners to support us. And for the past 2 years, we've demonstrated that we can hold the territory, we can inflict enormous damage to the aggressor, and we can even neutralize Black Sea Fleet. And if duly equipped, we are able to defeat Russian troops on the ground. And we are definitely grateful for the support that's coming from Australia. And I would like to personally thank Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for the announcement last week of $50 million to the International Fund, which is managed by the UK MOD. However, there is a lot more that could be done.
I'll come back to that in a moment, Australia's government-to-government level of support with Ukraine. I also want to come to US support too, Vasyl, but why don't we go to President Zelensky? He's shaken up the military leadership there, putting Commander Syrskyi in charge now in search of battlefield success, obviously. Do you sense there's a war weariness or frustration building in Kyiv about progress or the lack of it lately?
Well, Ukrainian people, I was just recently in January in Ukraine, and everybody is united. We understand that it's an existential war. We don't have any other option, and we are fighting. However, as you see, we lack some of the ammunition, and one of the reasons for this lack of ammunition was a recent withdrawal of the Ukrainian troops from Avdiivka to save the lives. But that's what happens when you run out of 155mm ammunition, and that's a call that our president has made to the global community when he recently spoke at the Munich Security Conference, where he has asked the allies and partners to continue supporting Ukraine, to providing the ammunition, air power, as well as air defense capabilities and what we need. Because at the end of the day, so much is on the line.
It doesn't bode well if you're running short of ammunition, and that means so much attention falls on the biggest donor so far, the United States, where in Washington, President Biden's having a lot of trouble convincing the Congress, but particularly Republicans in it, around a 140 billion Australian dollar package of additional aid. What happens if that money is not unlocked soon?
We believe that support for Ukraine from the U.S. is in the strategic national interests of the U.S. and all the free world, including Australia. And we hope that the assistance will be unlocked. We understand if if the House of Representatives, if that bill was put to the vote, it would be approved. So it was just a matter of technical issue for the Speaker to submit it to the Congress to support it. I know that they're coming back from the break next week. We remain hopeful that that support will be unlocked, because a lot depends on the American leadership in this respect.
It's not just that, though, is it? I mean, even if this is cleared by the Congress, you then have the spectre of a November presidential election, and Donald Trump, if anything, hardening his position against further aid to Ukraine. That must be causing tremors all the way to Kyiv, and maybe in part explains why Volodymyr Zelensky, you can explain this to us, Vasyl, why he has invited Donald Trump again to come to your country.
We enjoy bipartisan support in the U.S., and it's of course the choice of the American people to choose their president. And also something to remind, when Donald Trump was the president at the time, we received anti-tank missiles, javelins. They also imposed sanctions on the Nord Stream 2, which was a gas pipeline from Russia to Germany. And there are also some other positive developments that were happening. So at the end of the day, we will be working with any president which will be in place, and we hope that whatever happens in America, America will continue supporting us.
Well, the world will be watching that. Why don't we go to Australia's level of support? You've expressed your gratitude, $50 million in additional funding put in place last week. What about further military hardware, though? What are you asking Australia for?
I hope to be working with Australian partners on proactive plan for this year that would provide and identify some of the smart support for Ukraine, which would be low cost, which would be of surplus to the defense, which would be life-saving, and also aligned with the expertise of the defense industry of Australia. Look, at the end of the day, if the war draws on due to the lack of leadership, I think it will have a further impact on the Australians' cost of living through the prices for food, fuel, fertilizers, and also having an impact on the security and stability of the Asia-Pacific. Australia was once one of the largest non-NATO contributors to Ukraine. Now it's number 6 after Japan, Korea, Austria, Switzerland, and Sweden. However, I believe that Australia, which has the 9th largest defense budget, which has the 12th largest economy, and most importantly, which has a budget surplus, which comes from the commodity revenues, which were actually the result of the war,
right.
They can make a bigger difference into ending this war.
And specifically, what are some of the things at the top of the list there?
Look, Bushmasters have been very effective in Ukraine. 120 of those. They've been saving lives. They've been demonstrating, and we will be thankful for more of those equipment being provided. Some Bushmasters equipped as ambulances. There could be some other airborne capabilities which could be provided later on, with some of the equipment which being phased out by the defense.
Original classic FA-18 Hornet.
No, not necessarily the aircraft in itself, but there are some other capabilities which are being phased out here. And they could be some negotiations could take place, and I think at the end of the day, I think it's if the supporting Ukraine at this stage is not a charity, it's not a donation. It's really an investment into the stability and security of the like-minded countries, which will bring as a peace dividend for Australia in the future. Because I think the cost of us losing the war to Russia will be much, much higher. So I think it's much cheaper to support Ukraine now to make sure that Russia could be brutally stopped in Ukraine.